And maybe I asked for too much, but maybe this thing was a masterpiece. So you tore it all up, running scared. I was there, I remember it all too well. Hey, call me up again just to break it like a promise. Anyway, you guys, today's video is gonna be all about what you can learn from Taylor Swift and Adele's vulnerability, and why their vulnerability in their music especially is so inspiring. But before we get to it, I want to quickly introduce myself. I am Myrra and I'm a kingdom-driven entrepreneur, online course creator and strategist, and author, helping people build a life of purpose, freedom, and impact. If you like videos on personal development, faith, and business, hit the subscribe button below and the bell to be notified of our videos. So, we all know that in the recent weeks, the music industry and the entire world is like shook. That's how amazing Taylor Swift and Adele are. They both released new albums in the past couple of weeks. So I wanted to talk about this because if you are planning to use your God-given gifts, talents, and passions and skills and make a bigger income and impact with them, there's one thing that you really have to learn and to accept, and that is this thing called vulnerability. I've researched a ton of definitions of what vulnerability is and how other people define it. Let's look at some of their definitions. Merriam-Webster defines vulnerability as capable of being physically or emotionally wounded, is open to attack or damage. The same thing is with Google's definition of it here of Oxford Languages. It says vulnerability is a quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. And I love what Brené Brown, an author specifically talking about vulnerability, says about the word. She defines it as uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. So it says that it's that unstable feeling that we get when we step out of our comfort zone or do something that forces us to loosen control. I'm talking about the vulnerability of letting other people know your thoughts, your feelings, sometimes out of your comfort zone, not too much that it's too damaging for you, but also not too little that you're not forced to step out of your comfort zone. That's what I think Adele and Taylor Swift is a great example of. You know, sometimes vulnerability is seen as weakness. You're exposing yourself to something. Taylor Swift, right, is talking about her heartbreaks, how her exes has hurt her, or how she, one of her songs, I guess, I've heard, Getaway Car, talks about how she used someone as a rebound. And that's not something that you are particularly comfortable with sharing to everyone. That's something that you can, usually just read about in diaries or journals. Adele right now in her new album, as I read, is, and also according to her Instagram live, which is epic, by the way, is, talking more about her divorce. And Taylor Swift, Taylor's version, the Red Taylor's version, is again talking about, she even released a 10-minute version of the All Too Well song, which everyone, the entire world knows is about Jake Gyllenhaal. And we're not here to talk about gossip or everything. I'm not into that, but I really want to say that musicians like Adele and Taylor Swift are proving us otherwise, that vulnerability doesn't really have to always be weakness. In fact, I'm gonna share 3 points in this video, which I hope would make sense, but stick with me, you guys, that would encourage you to be vulnerable especially as I said, if you plan to put up your personal brand, to start showing up online, to make an income and impact and be an entrepreneur, or build a business using the gifts that God has given in you, and also as you walk in the purpose that God puts you in, because sometimes God will ask us to step out of our comfort zone, to write something that we typically will not write because we're so scared to share it to other people. And so I wanted to start with this: vulnerability equals strength. It is not a weakness to be vulnerable and to share your story to the world. In fact, it is courage. You sharing your story to the world, what you have gone through, what you have overcame before, and even the fears that you have in the future, all of those things, it's courageous for you to be vulnerable and show it to the world. A turtle would want to go inside of its shell for it to stay safe, and that's what most of us would want to do for our entire lives. We just want to be safe, and so we're not going to come out of that shell. But what if your dreams, what if the things that God has planned for you, what if your breakthrough, right, your miracles, your dream come trues are on the other side of you coming out of that shell? I know that vulnerability opens you up to a lot of criticism. That's exactly what I think is happening with Taylor Swift, with Adele, right? When they share these things, these thoughts that they have in their songs, they have a lot of bashers, a lot of haters, a lot of people criticizing them why they did this and that. And it's purely just inevitable because people will always have something to say. The second one is vulnerability equals connection. You would most of the times think that vulnerability would just allow people to see you as this weak person. But change your mindset for a sec. People yearn for connection. They connect instantly. We all connect instantly with people who we feel are similar to us or resonate with us or our stories and our experiences in life. Going back to the vulnerability of Adele and Taylor Swift, other people are so connected with their music because the things that Taylor and Adele were talking about in their music and in their interviews and how they're showing up, right, are things that other people have also gone through. And those people would automatically be attracted and feel connected with them just because they had similar experiences. Your vulnerability, your sharing your story will allow people to be more connected with you and or your brand and or your business. And the third and last thing is vulnerability equals freedom. Adele and Taylor's courage to open themselves up to the world and be vulnerable through their music and sharing their thoughts and experiences and life lessons through their music again is something that is so liberating because they're not keeping everything to themselves. Right? At some point, when we try to absorb everything that's happening around us and we try to keep it a secret, that is what causes us to have breakdowns. So vulnerability in itself is freedom because it liberates you from that thing that it creates from you in the inside if you just try to keep it all to yourself. And the thing about it is, most of the times, God would lead us to experience something because He wants us to learn something that we can then share to other people who are experiencing that same thing or who will experience that in the future. It will encourage the people who are in that same situation because number one, it allows them to realize that they're not alone. Second, it allows them to see that if someone has struggled with it and overcame it, then it's possible for them. Third is that it's going to allow them to learn the lessons that you yourself have learned as you were going through that struggle. The same thing with Adele and Taylor's music, right? We're learning through their journeys. I'm sure that a lot of younger people right now resonate with their music. For example, with regards with Taylor Swift's relationship, right? It gives us hope that in the past, Taylor was talking about this heartbreaks that she had, you know, the exes who cheated on her, things like that. And then now she is happily in a relationship with a guy who really makes her feel seen and heard and loved. And that now allows us to see that it's possible for us too to find a love that is the same kind of love that she's now enjoying. It frees you from the idea that this is the only place where I'll be in the next few years. Because no, if this happened to other people, then that can happen to me too. So vulnerability equals strength, connection, and freedom. And that's what we can learn from Taylor and Adele's vulnerability through their music and through everything that they do. So if you like this video, please click like and subscribe, and don't forget to share this video to your friends and family as well. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.